Have you noticed something strange in the Indian job market right now? If you open LinkedIn, one day you see these companies are laying off thousands of employees, and the same company the other day is hiring, not just hiring aggressively, like data scientists, automation specialists, AI engineers, etc. Now, if the companies are replacing AI with human beings, what are they hiring for? Now, this question stayed with me for weeks. I have been in recruitment more than 15 plus years. I have hired during good times when things were expanding. I have hired during freezes. I have had hired during COVID, and I have hired when, there were thousands of application for one job. But I haven't seen the change in hiring that I have seen right now. Okay. And there is no news about it, there is no announcement about it. It is just happening quite. 6 years ago, hiring managers used to ask one basic question, that whether this person has potential. If the answer was yes, hire karo. Okay, hire him or her, because companies wanted to invest on freshers, they wanted them to make mistakes, learn, invest on trainings, and they didn't see training as waste of time or waste of money. Few days ago, I had a conversation with someone who worked in a very large tech organization. I asked him that, what kind of a person are you looking at right now? He said someone who can deliver from the day one. He didn't say potential, he didn't say someone who can who can learn. He gave a very clear, crisp answer. He said, we want plug and play, we want someone who can deliver from the day one. And then I thought, maybe okay, fine, it's just one person who's giving me this answer. But then when I read about it, it is the same everywhere. Different companies, different organizations, different industry, but everyone is expecting the same plug and play. This made me realize this is not just AI. AI is just a part of the story, but this is much more deeper. I think the deal between the organization and the employees has changed. Okay, earlier it was, you come with potential, we will teach you, you do mistakes, we'll correct you, we'll train you. But now it's not that. Now companies want someone who is valuable, productive, can deliver from the day one. This might sound very small at the surface, but it isn't. This changes how companies hire, how someone begins their right, and that this shows why a lot of people are clueless on what's happening in terms of hiring, because the rules have been changed and they are not aware of it. Now, before we move further, I just want to tell you that we cannot blame this entirely on AI, right? Because there are many other reasons. For example, the economic slowdown. Clients want to spend less and make more money. Investor wants more profit. Technologies are improving, changing. So all this adds to this. But why am I talking about AI specifically? Not just because it is taking everyone's job. That's a different story. But it is changing how companies think about training. Organization thinks about training. So I'll give you an example. Think like this: when a software engineer started, they don't start with complex systems. They do their basic coding, right? Similar in HR doesn't handle difficult situation. They do something which is basic or small operational or back end job. Similarly, a product manager will not take a multi-billion dollar decision. They will do handle some similar. They'll handle some small project, and that's how they learn. They do mistakes. It's a classroom routine work. It's a boring work, but that's how you learn, and that's how we all have learned. That's where you build judgment, and that's where the potential becomes skill, isn't it? So now what has happened? Now AI has taken over this routine jobs, the basic coding, the repetitive work, right? So this has made companies ask different questions. Now they don't ask for potential, they ask who's gonna add value from the day one. And with that change of thinking, the hiring market has changed. And I am not saying this out of any assumptions. There is a proper research done about the job market. And if you see that, it shows that a lot of freshers or someone at entry level are getting hired less. Why? Companies are hiring for more experienced people, or else they are stable where they are. Companies are thinking, why we need to invest 6 months in training when we can get um, experienced candidates. Now there's another interesting pattern. Now companies who are doing very well with AI, they're also hiring, and they're paying specifically little more for this hiring. Now, they are hiring people who can review, judge, or catch a mistake of what AI is done. Maybe they can tell who this is right, this is wrong. This is this is where the AI has done mistake. So they are specifically hiring for these kind of people. So with all the information that I gave you, now you will realize that there is a pattern to it. Companies have not stopped hiring. However, there's a shift in what companies are hiring for. So you see layoffs and hiring at the same time, and that's not a contradiction. It is a shift in what companies think create creates value for them. And this shift hits India harder, especially because India's tech industry was built in one model: hire freshers, train them, let them gain experience, and that's how they grow. And that's how the business grows. And that's how it worked for 20 years. But now what? What happens when the companies don't want to train people? What happens when the companies only want experienced people? Here's where the story gets personal, and we are going to talk about it in my next video.